Hi again, it's Shelly. I'm here with your news for the astrology of February 28th through March 6th, 2022. So this week, on March 1st, we have Saturn conjunct Mercury in the sign of Aquarius. So Mercury is the planet of our minds, it's the planet of perception, and Saturn is all about boundaries and structures. When we have this combination in Aquarius, which Saturn rules Aquarius, so it's very happy there, we have a very strong Mercury that has the ability to figure things out, to think outside of the structures of society, outside of the box, but very much lives by its own rules, by its own structures, by essentially its own box, even if that box has little segues to other places. So when we're talking about it here as a transit in a short period of time, not as something in an individual's chart that has more time to grow and live, we're looking at something that is a potential time for both creating and using the mind, but also that might be a little bit limited. So you might come up against other people, argument situations that feel limiting to you, especially intellectually. And you might also find yourself kind of caught in little boxes that you created for yourself. So just have that in your awareness that Mercury conjunct Saturn in any sign can be limiting, but that limitation in and of itself can actually be helpful because it allows you to focus. So go with that, because we do have the sun in Pisces, which is going to have us a little dreamy. And the very next day, on March 2nd, we have the new moon in Pisces. So a couple things. If you're someone who tends to take on other people's emotions, other people's pain, other people's suffering, even when they don't ask you to, this might be happening during this transit, during this time when we have so much Pisces. And it's important to really check in with yourself as to where you're at. So this might include alone time, and it might include just dreaming, relaxing, giving yourself permission for all of that. And also to be conscious of the boundaries you're putting up, because not having any boundaries during this time could put you into situations that are unhealthy. That said, you really want to explore that idea. So if you're someone who does put up boundaries, who tends to put up boundaries, who doesn't let things come in, this could be a very positive time for you to actually explore what it means to be a part of something else, to not have those strong boundaries. And I've said this before, you can do this really well through music, we can do this through art, we can do this through other people. So with a couple other things going on during this new moon, as I already said, Mercury and Saturn together in the sign of Aquarius. So the way that Aquarius and Pisces get along is very interesting, because they both like to push boundaries and they both like to do things in their own way, but Pisces does it by absorbing everything, by just making everything be kind of one thing. And Aquarius does it by delineating, by differentiating, by making things, understanding how things are different and how those different things can be pulled in to form a group. So you might play around with the ways that you can use your mind, your intellect, and use that to become a part of something illogical. How you can pull your mind into a story, how you can pull your mind into the future, into something not yet created, and how you can see a glimpse of that and how that can help you feel more connected to yourself, to everything else, to your relationships, and understand a little bit more on an emotional level and on a visceral level what is actually happening right now in your life and in our world. So along with all this Pisces energy, at that very same moment, we have Pluto in Capricorn, and it's conjunct Venus and Mars. So Pluto is all about going deep. It's about confronting those things that we may not want to confront, about looking at those things that we may not want to look at. And so this can manifest in different ways. It can mean some really, really amazing insights, likely accompanied by some emotional feelings. And it can mean that we jump into this power game. So where we're either trying to control others or we're letting others control us. So look to that, especially in the sign of Capricorn with Mars so close. There is this desire to control. And it comes from that feeling of uneasiness and uncertainty that we don't really know what's going on. And with Pisces dissolving our boundaries, it can get a little scary. So it's important, like I said, to check in with yourself and know where you're at and have that sort of safety net for yourself so that you're able to explore. If you're able to explore those depths and you're able to not have so many boundaries that you don't learn and you don't grow. So if you remember, Venus is about our values. It's about what we care about. It's about what's important to us. Mars, it's about our drive, our action. It's about getting things done. And when those two come together, we have this opportunity to align those two things. And because of this whole story we had for so long of Venus and Capricorn and going retrograde, we have had time to evaluate what's important to us. So hopefully with Pluto there, we can use this to be empowered and to empower other people and not to get caught up in what it means to want power or to sacrifice our power, because these are always possible when Pluto's playing its games. So really, for this new moon, I would just say, take care of yourself and relax. You've got to throw the relaxation in there somewhere and use that. It doesn't have to mean, it can mean that you're taking a bath or just taking a nap or laying down if that's what you need. But it can mean taking the time for things that you love, that you don't normally take time for, like reading that book that you've been wanting to read, or making that cake or that robot or whatever it is. Because with that Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, we really do have a story of what it is that we can see outside of the normal societal parameters. And with Pluto asking us to go deep and align our values with our action in an intentional, powerful, empowering way, the story is really up to you and how you can manifest that. And if you want to take some action on the new moon, that is excellent, because that's what new moons are for. They're about initiating action, new beginnings. It's part of a cycle. But do not initiate action on the day of the new moon. Rather, initiate action the couple of days after the new moon. We want there to be a little bit of release of that energy before we start doing things, before we start putting them in motion. It's not going to hurt you to put them in motion sooner. They just won't be as effective. They won't gain ground as easily. So look to March 3rd and 4th, put your plan in action, take the little steps. I really mean that every time I say this. Take the little steps. The little steps become more little steps and they grow. And even if it's just symbolic, take the little steps. So get your Capricorn on, your Venus and your Mars in Capricorn, because on March 5th, well, in Pacific time, 10:30 p.m., Mars and Venus will both have shifted into the sign of Aquarius. So they're both Saturn ruled. So we've got that similarity, but we're making a big shift from tradition to innovation. And as that's part of our story right now anyway, for the year and years happening, it's important to think about in this last week what that means for you and how tradition and how long-term values really influence you and play into who you are today, and how they might even influence the way that you look at innovation or the way that you pursue innovation. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and please comment. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know how tradition is going for you. And we'll talk next time about the future.